Indeed.
So hello, beautiful women who are here live and all of the ladies who are tuning into this recording after the fact, and welcome to the third call for the Deeply Satisfied Woman immersion. And this sort of marks the halfway mark, which is very exciting. I have really loved exploring the first two traits of all deeply satisfied, successful women with you. We have done that over the last fortnight, and there are still two to go after tonight. But this evening, we are here to explore
Not
how
taking
to
yourself
not take yourself
too
so
seriously.
seriously.
Who's doing it? Who's doing it? Who's doing it?
Who's doing it? Yeah. So this is before we dive in, actually, just in, I think all of you have been here, but there have been some new people sign up through the last week. And so if anybody's tuning into the replay, just for housekeeping purposes, we do record these sessions so that they can be shared with all of the ladies who are registered but who can't attend. So just bearing that in mind when you're making choices about what you want to share in tonight's call. And yeah, we'll be going for between around 60 minutes, 60 or just over 60 to 70 minutes. And if you're not part of the Facebook group yet, I would love to have you in there. So please come along. Oh, that was a fun background, Susan. I liked the cosmos. I like it. So please dive into the Facebook group as well. There'll be a link to join that in your follow-up email if you haven't seen it thus far. And for anybody who doesn't know me, who I know all of the ladies here do, but for anybody who's tuning into the replay who hasn't met me before, hello, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here. And I am Nick Stewart, and I'm a performance and lifestyle consultant for ambitious and high-achieving women. And I coach those successful ladies to create deeply satisfying lives. And this third trait that we're exploring tonight, how to not take yourself so seriously, feels like such a fun one to explore, and literally fun, but also sort of amusing to me that what can happen sometimes when you're curating these sorts of experiences is that life has these ways of offering you opportunities to ensure you're fully prepared to deliver the material. And I've had a week over the last week, not even necessarily the whole week, but over the last like 3 or 4 days, where I've had lots of opportunities to practice not taking myself so seriously, and sort of, taking a step back from myself and being like, it's okay, this is gonna pass, it's all good. I got food poisoning over the weekend at a festival we went to, and it's my period this week, so I'm a little bit sort of tired and a little bit more inward facing anyway, and have just had a whole heap of, like, my emotions and my nerves have been close to the surface, and I've been under-resourced and been a bit exhausted from the food poisoning, and so I've been triggered and taking things personally. And who else can relate to having a time where it feels like your sense of humor has fallen off and you are taking everything in life and yourself so seriously? Who else can relate? Yeah, nodding along. So I like to think of triggers and stress and these sorts of stories that things are very serious to be like an octopus. And I'm going to do what the octopus does. It's very, very serious. It's sort of like, it sort of sneaks up on you. It's like, oh, hey. And then all of a sudden it goes, and it's on your face. And you got a trigger on your face. And it's like, oh God. And you're seeing the world through this lens of whatever story, whatever narrative it is that you're caught up in, whatever idea that, like, oh, I need to do this perfectly, or it has to be a certain way, or people are going to think this about me, or, oh my God, what did that person mean when they made that face at me? And it's like, you start seeing the world and you see people and you see relationships and you see life through the trigger's limbs, and it's like you've got to wrestle it off your face sometimes, it feels like. And when something is that close to you, it feels real. It feels like the truth. Yeah, it feels like reality, that whatever thing is right up here on your face, because you're so close to it, you can't see all of the other things around it. You can't see the perspective that actually this is just one little microcosm of a much bigger reality that I am a part of, and that this too shall pass, and that perhaps I should not take this so seriously. A question I like to ask myself is, will this matter in 5 years' time? You know, will I be thinking about this and considering it? And Terry, you are muted, so I'm not hearing what you're saying. I'm seeing your mouth
we say
moving.
5, maybe 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months,
Yeah,
5 years.
totally. Am I going to be worried about this in 5 hours, 5 days? And often at some point, if you ask those questions, those consecutive questions, you're going to go, that's really, it doesn't matter that much. So we've all had that experience. We've all had the trigger octopus or the stress octopus or whatever it is glued to your face. It looks like reality. It looks like the actual facts of the situation. And people will go to incredible lengths to protect themselves from appearing foolish or appearing less than perfectly competent and capable and handled. Who can relate to that at times, like the sort of knee-jerk reaction of wanting to protect yourself from looking foolish or inadequate or inept in some way, shape, or form?
Never.
Never? Not
Only
you?
joking, only joking.
Oh,
I've got
she's
this silly
enlightened.
question. The word
Not at all.
trigger is always in a negative connotation. Can you
Mhm.
have a positive trigger? But no one uses it. Can you have a positive trigger? You have, but you don't call it
Well,
trigger.
I don't know that you would call it a trigger. You're right. There is a negative connotation with the word trigger.
Yeah,
And that's a great question, Terry. So thank you. Another word, I don't actually love the word trigger, but it's widely known. So it's easy to use and people understand what you're talking about. But another word that I like to use is when your system gets activated. It's like when your nervous system gets turned on by something, when your flight fight system gets like poked and you're like, oh, my protectors are up, and all of a sudden I feel all of the sensations. Maybe I can feel myself like puffing my chest up and getting ready to go into battle, or maybe I'm like, oh, my hackles are up and I'm ready to run, or like whatever it is that your system does when you get triggered. Maybe you're getting really indignant, or like, everybody's so different, right, when we get activated by something. So that is another way that you can describe it. You can certainly have things that trigger your system into a positive response, like things that occur in your life. Like, we had a beautiful the little boy here on the screen before at Susan's end. And like, if he giggles and laughs, that might trigger your system into
that's fun.
joy of like,
Yeah.
oh, it's beautiful. Like, how delightful. And there's a natural response in your system to smile or laugh or whatever occurs. So I suppose technically, yes, there's such a thing as like positive triggers, but
But you don't use it.
it's not the same context. So I think everybody could relate to the feeling of wanting to protect themselves from that sensation of foolishness, of like the contraction of, oh, what are people going to think? Or what do I look like if I'm going to let myself do that? Or, oh my God, how stupid do I seem? So who can name the emotion going on there? Unmute yourself and shout it out. Or
vulnerability.
It is very vulnerable sensation.
And it's the worry of bringing shame, I think.
Shame. Yes, there it is. Beautiful. Thank you very much. So it's super vulnerable. and the emotion is shame. Yeah, it's like, oh, what will people think of me? There's something wrong with me. I am somehow bad or wrong. Yeah, to let myself be seen in some version of being like less than put together and gracefully in control of our lives. Or to be seen as being like frazzled and emotional and overwhelmed and like, oh my God, I'm not coping, or I'm not okay, is shameful. And shame is one of those incredibly, arguably the most toxic relationship, well, emotion that we can have a relationship with, that we can experience inside of ourselves. And it is this story that like deep down there's something wrong with me, or there's something about me that is really fundamentally flawed, and people are going to see it. I'm going to be seen in my imperfections.
Yep.
Yeah. Making sense so far? Relating? Yep. Yeah. Any questions so far? Anything that you guys would throw into this? It's a nice small group tonight, which is great. So this can be really super interactive. All right. Awesome. All right. So I want to say this with lightness and with some playfulness, and also allowing it to have the gravitas that it does. And that is that we are all dying. We are all somewhere on the life path that results in and finishes in death. And that means two things, and they're sort of opposing truths. One of them is that our one life is absolutely precious and we shouldn't waste it. And another one is that we're all going to the same place and it really doesn't matter. So don't take it so seriously. And those things can be two sides of the same coin, right? It's like, as we journey through life and come to a time where parents are passing away, or friends are starting to have diagnoses that are meaning that their life expectancy won't be as long as we thought, or our grandparents are passing away, or like whatever life stage of development we're at some point we come into relationship with our own mortality. And or maybe you have an accident through life, like a car accident or a sporting accident or something that brings you into contact with the truth. I'm not going to be here forever. Yeah. And on one hand, yes, that means that we should absolutely make the most of and take opportunities seriously, take life seriously, because we've only got one. Like, don't waste it. But what I interpret that to mean is that don't waste it on shame. Don't waste it on worrying about what other people are thinking about you. Don't waste it on living anything other than like the fullest possible for you in any given moment expression of your soul. Because life's too fucking short, right? Like, we are only here for a finite amount of time. Our things that are alive in our hearts and our families, and the things that we want to do in the world are precious. And we're sitting back worrying about what people think about us, and stopping that from being the thing that lets us like go for the stuff that's really in your heart, whatever it is for you. Yeah. I do it as well. Like, yeah, like I'm human. I put my hand up that I'm talking to me too. We all do this to varying degrees, right? But I want to shine the spotlight in there at that and be like, hey, shame monster, we see you. Yeah. And we're coming for you. We're not fucking around. Like, we're here to live. Yeah, and that's my prayer for all of you, and for anybody who tunes into this recording after the fact, is like, I talk about creating a deeply satisfying life because I believe that's what you deserve. And deeply satisfying means different things to different people, but the essence of it is that your heart and your soul and your pussy and your brain and your body are alive and turned on and delighted. And to give yourself permission to live a life that rich and unique and right for you is going to bring some stuff up. So I want to talk about the magician and the fool. These are archetypes. You might have heard of them if you've played with a tarot deck before. And archetypes, if you haven't heard of an archetype, is like a set of qualities or energies that make up like a character or a set of characteristics, and you can give it a label or a name so you can relate with that set of characteristics and experience it inside of yourself and also see it in the world. And so we're going to talk about two archetypes, the magician and the fool, or the jester. And so the magician archetype is, and really what I want to talk about is the similarities between the two of them. Yeah. The magician is a visionary, is one who sees great possibilities. The magician archetype is often called the creator of worlds, because it's like, you know, with the wave of his magic wand, he will conjure new form, new realities. He births new realities, he or she, the magician. And the jester is, or the fool, is also unbound by the laws of the world. Yeah, the jester lives outside of the rules that contain us, that say this is how things should be, because the jester is just poking fun at everything. Yeah, the jester is playing. The jester is like, ah, ha, ha, ha. What could be possible? You know, what can you dream up? And the jester and the magician, they can both be qualities inside of us, right? But you know, we don't have literal, like, Harry Potter style magic wands in our world, which would be pretty cool.
I can't hear her.
I can't hear you, Susan, but you look like you're having a fun time waving a magic wand. Are you making a sex toy joke?
Oops.
Oh, you're still muted, lovely. Okay, she can't unmute herself.
Oh, I found it.
Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, you found it.
That was just, well, my mind hadn't gone to a sex toy joke, but thank you very much for that, Nick. No, just Wingardium
welcome.
Leviosa.
Oh, Wingardium Leviosa. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm a total Harry Potter fan. And for context, for anybody here or tuning into the replay, the wonderful Susan has a gorgeous boutique adult toy store that you should absolutely check out, called the Spicy Boudoir. And so that's why I thought her mind might have gone to sex toys when we were talking about magic wands. That wasn't just me being entirely crass. So the magician and the fool are these archetypes that are willing to see possibility where others cannot, are willing to believe in possibilities that maybe break the rules of society a little bit, break the rules of what you have been told is possible or right or okay for you to have. And they're really, really willing to break those rules, because they know that whatever is going to be brought into creation as a result is going to be art, is going to be masterful, is going to be like wondrous to behold. Yeah, it's enchanting, this energy of play and possibility and magic and synchronicity and a willingness to see something greater for yourself, and is also really anchored in like being able to laugh at yourself, being able to like be the butt of a joke. And I'm not talking about like, sometimes Australian humor in particular, there's a bit of a like, you know, a bit of a like matey banter that goes on that's really about sort of putting people down to connect is quite an Australian thing. And I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about like harmful humor at other people's expense. I'm talking about willingness to not take yourself so seriously, willingness to see the like the humor and the lightness in this cosmic joke that we're all living inside of.
That goes for 100% of your life, because you can do this 180, and 20% you do something else.
Yeah.
Is it a solid thing? It's either you take yourself seriously or not. Is it this dichotomy?
Oh, I don't like making hard and fast rules about anything. Yeah, I don't think that it would serve anybody to say I'm never going to take anything seriously
The
again.
word "the never"
because
is a suspect. Yeah.
Totally. But rather than a like, let me see if I can find the right words to answer the nuance of your question, Terry, because there's an important piece to point to here. I'm not just talking about an attitude of like, I'm going to be serious or I'm going to be not serious.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, deeper than that, there is an essence, like a flavor of playful aliveness that you can inhabit and live inside of and be in relationship with and be connected with. And you can still absolutely be taking your business or your relationship or whatever you're doing very seriously, because some things require us to show up for them and be serious about them. Yeah, and take them seriously because they have gravitas and they're important and they matter to you. And you can live inside of an essence of, I have permission to get it wrong. I have permission to fall down and fuck up and be imperfect and say the wrong thing and to have people think that I'm a bit of a like crackpot if I'm going to stand for this in my life. I like that Susan's laughing and putting her hand up for that one. It's like living inside of an air of playful aliveness and softness towards yourself and forgiveness. And we're going to talk about forgiveness later on in the call, because it's a very important frequency for you to bring into your lives as women. That does that make sense, Terry? It's not as simple as just serious or not. It's like this place in ourselves that we can live inside of.
One of my life values, the three of them, it includes fun, F-U-N, fun. So I love it. I think it's very important.
Awesome. So you're all over this one.
Maybe I'm a fool. I'm a big fool. No, I don't know.
Yeah. And so this is such a beautiful invitation into play with life. You know, to let yourself play while you're living. And we're going to jump into your bodies in a moment and do an embodied journey and exploring imperfection and shame a little bit more. Because sometimes the other thing that I want to name about this energy is that it can be used as armor. Yeah, the like humor and I'm not taking things seriously can be used to protect us from feeling shame, from feeling the tenderness of being vulnerable. And that when humor is used and play and this sort of the jester joker energy is used to protect, it's sort of like it's a bit of a facade, yeah, because like you might be authentically a playful person, and we've all done this at times. Like I've absolutely done this as well. Welcome, Jody. It's beautiful to see you here. That
Hi there.
That it is a way of keeping life out. Yeah, keeping life away from your heart a little bit.
I do.
Guilty.
Me too.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thanks for being honest, because that's real. Yeah, we all do that. And so Jody's saying in the kitchen currently, so on mute but absolutely resonating. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Very nice.
So Jody, just to super quickly bring you up to speed, we're just speaking about the magician and fool archetypes, playing in life and not taking life so seriously, being able to connect with a sort of sense of life is really important because we're only here for a finite amount of time, but that's a really good reason to not be bogged down in shame and what we're worried about other people are thinking, and etc. etc. So yay, cook away. So I want to drop into your bodies and explore this in an embodied way, but I wanted to bring that in as an important piece to recognize that this can also be like a shield. Yeah. And so we're going to explore how to be in connection with play in a way that feels authentic, not performative. So does anybody have any questions so far? Is there anything that you'd like to throw out as like something that's landing for you or making sense, or that you might have a question about?
Oh, where do you start?
I do have a question, and it's going to sound a little bit technical. As a social scientist, I have a particular understanding of performative. When you say performative, what do you mean?
Awesome. Thank you for asking. I love it. I'd so be curious about your explanation in that sense as well. So it might make a little bit more sense in the context of what we're actually going to do tonight soon, but I'm going to guide you through a process of connecting with yourself and then exploring playful expression. And you're going to have the opportunity to do that with your camera off and with your camera on. And something that can happen when we're in a closed room and there's no outside eyes is that we will do something purely for ourselves. Yeah, it's like dancing like no one is watching because there's nobody at home watching, right? But then when someone looks at you, all of a sudden you're like, oh, do I look sexy? Like, am I dancing right? Like, oh, well, what do I look like? Or, you know, when you take your camera off, if you choose to later in this process, it might feel different to be silly by yourself or to be playful by yourself versus to be playful when somebody else is seeing you be playful. And what you might notice is that there's an impulse to try and do it right. And that is the moment that you leave yourself. That is the moment that you go from being playful for you or dancing for you, because that's the reason we should dance or play, to dancing for the eyes of somebody else or playing for the eyes of somebody else. Like, am I being playful in the right way? What do they think about my play? And then all of a sudden you're out there with the other people and you're sort of trying to play right for them, as opposed to just continuing to let yourself play to your own rhythm, like dancing to the beat of your own drum, we could say. Jody has said, in the social sciences, performative is the word you use to describe an act, statement, or gesture that changes a state in the outside world. For example, declaring it's a girl, or the statement, I now pronounce you husband, or man and wife. How interesting. We were talking about that they mean quite different things. How cool. Thank you. I learned a thing. Thanks, Jody. So what I was talking about, performance and yeah, that will make more sense in the context of that exercise. And I'll remind you to stay in connection with yourselves as we get closer to that part. Any other questions? That was awesome. Thanks, Jody.
No questions, just that I know that I do it. And whether it's work or whether it's a social situation, I think more in a social situation with acquaintances, it's just a bit of it's very much an armor for me. Because I don't really want to get to know everyone and I don't really want them all to get to know me. So it's just yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Don't you worry that they see that they see through you and it's even worse?
I don't care.
So why do you care? Okay.
It's just a cutting people off rather than having to get into a conversation that I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Nance, that I 100% understand that one? Because sometimes it's just way easier to give people the thing that they expect than to give people the thing that is authentically me.
Yeah.
Hello, people, please aware. Oh, here.
Yeah. I would say that every person on the planet does this to some degree. Yeah. I don't know of anyone, I don't think, who can purely 100% hand on heart say, I am like exactly myself, regardless of who I am around 100% of the time. Because the nature of us as relational, I know people who have spent their lives practicing getting very close to that place, and how beautiful, what a journey to go on. But the nature of us as relational beings is that means we are constantly in like the giving and receiving of information and reflections and observations, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. And we are wired as communal creatures to survive by being part of a herd. So the idea that we are free from that at some point in our lives, Nance, I really want to debunk that and not create another perfectionist standard. I think that we can get really close to that. I think that we can be really aware of when you're making the choice to do that, like you've described. And, sometimes like there are purists out there that might say to you, no, you should strive to just give your authentic response 100% of the time, no matter what. But my invitation would be actually listen to your heart and what's right for you. Sometimes it is easier to just go, you know what, I'm gonna say the thing that is easy, that I know, like, I don't want to put energy into this situation right now, or I'm going to find a way to say no thank you to being engaged in this situation, rather than show up in exactly the way that is true and alive for me, because not everybody gets all of what's inside of me. That's not not real. Yeah. So,
and also we are human. We're a human society. I can't just say, I don't like what you're wearing. I don't like the color. I don't like this. So I am authentic. I don't like it, but I have to think a minute longer to say, how are you going to? Why am I doing it to you? It's a bit cruel, isn't it?
Well, yeah, totally. And it's also sort of none of our business what other people wear, right? You can notice I don't like that color, but
to say it and to declare it is two different things.
It's very different things, very much so. So I'm going to reel us in, because we are in important and interesting conversations, and I also want to be playful with you. Blah, blah, blah. So my invitation is to switch off your cameras to begin with. I'm going to leave mine on, and I'm going to be the permission granting creature in the room to begin with. And in time, I will give you the invitation and option to switch your cameras back on. And at that point, you are welcome to do so and participate with your camera on if you would like. So, beautiful ladies. Jody, keep cooking. Don't cut your fingers off. Were you going to say something, Susan?
Sorry, is my camera on or off? I'm just on my phone.
It's off. Well done.
Okay.
You did it.
Thank you.
Great work. Yay. So, closing down your eyes and I've just muted you all as well. And again, much like your cameras, you'll have the option to unmute yourselves at some point. And just taking a couple of big, deep breaths. Just nice, soft belly button hanging away from your spine. Mouth slightly open. And remember, your camera's off so no one can see you. Let your belly hang out. Let your shoulders slump if that feels good. Just like, give this body a couple of moments of exactly what feels good. That might be some squeezes, might just be holding yourself. Taking some big deep breaths in through your nose, down into the belly, into the pelvic bowl. And sighing it out through your open, parted lips. And just welcoming yourself as you are to this moment, noticing whatever is here with you. It's all welcome to be here. The thoughts moving around your mind, the feelings in your body, sensations of different clothes on your skin. I just noticed my pants are tight as I'm doing this drop in. I'm like, oh, it's a bit uncomfortable. Just noticing what sensations are here. And what emotions are here? What are the emotional sensations that are present? All of you is welcome. And I want to just invite you to welcome the idea or observe the idea of your own imperfections, your own fallible humanness, the ways that you are a bit like dorky and bumbling, your perfect imperfections, as I might call them. And I'm inviting you, I used the word welcome and observe in relation to witnessing those qualities this evening, because we're not bringing them in here to the call to be like, oh, I'm so stupid for this, or I'm so blah for that. It's like, we're just going, oh, yeah, I'm a bit awkward in those situations, or sometimes I don't know what to say, or sometimes it feels uncomfortable to hold eye contact with someone for that long, and that I get a bit like weird, and then I feel embarrassed because I think that they noticed, or, you know, that time, oh my God, I can't believe I made that mistake, and my boss was the one that saw it, and oh God, I felt so dumb. Or just allowing, when you think of your imperfections, your bumbling humanness, your perfect imperfections, just welcoming whatever rises. There might be memories, there might be narratives, there might be like an undercurrent that you notice of thoughts through social situations that are like a commentary of, what are people thinking of me? Is this okay? Are people going to see that I'm not perfect? Are people going to see that I'm insert story here? And keep breathing as you welcome these parts of yourself and these memories and these narratives and these truths. I want you to see if you can welcome them with enough presence and like awareness that you can welcome them with some like, oh, come here, you like silly creature, come here, you bumbling human. You're so perfectly imperfect. It's like, you know, I don't know if anybody's spent a lot of time around baby animals, but they're like so uncoordinated. They've got so many limbs, and they're like, how do I figure out all these limbs? And like, puppies and just trip over themselves and do these like adorably silly things. And I want to see if you can relate to your imperfections in the same way. If it can be like the puppy that just hasn't figured its legs out yet. It's like you're a human and you just haven't figured out all of the ways to human yet, even though you're however old you are. Because the reality is we never stop learning, right? You're going to learn till the day you die. So like scooping those imperfections up and being like, oh, that was hilariously cute. I feel like a doob or like a twit or whatever word feels appropriate, whatever silly word feels appropriate that's not sort of shaming and harsh. And holding that like, oh, it's a puppy that tripped over, or it's a like, you know, baby that just like tipped its food onto its own face, or whatever would make you go, oh, and bringing that energy to your own imperfections. And just staying here for a sec. Oh, like, oh, you bumbling little human, you. Look at you trying to work out how to human. Look at you go. Look at you go, like making mistakes and having wins and successes, and they're beautiful. But look at you go being like a bit of a dork sometimes. That's great. There's noticing what that's like. There's no right or wrong. I'm just inviting in, like I'm inviting imperfection here, but I'm inviting in imperfection with some real lightness and compassion and care. And, you know, we need to be able to tell the truth about these parts of ourselves. But what if we could do that in such a way that isn't so laden with heaviness and shame and guilt? So feeling all of those beautiful imperfections. And just say to them, thank you. Thank you. Even if that feels a bit weird. Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful, rich texture that is you as a human. Because without these things, we'd all just be sort of like carbon copy perfect things. And that's not real. So thank you. Thank you to these things. Even if they're things that sometimes feel frustrating to you. And just taking a nice big deep breath, a big cleansing breath. In through the nose, right down into your belly. And out through your mouth. And I'd love you to invite in, building on that ability to go like, oh, with your imperfections, inviting in the energy of, or the essence of, play and playfulness. And as you're feeling yourself here and you're breathing with yourself, you can just say like, oh, welcome play, welcome playfulness. Taking a big deep breath into your belly. It's like, oh, if playfulness was here, how would playfulness want to breathe? Breathing it all the way down into your belly, letting yourself notice whatever comes up when you think of playfulness. Maybe there are memories, maybe there are like the want to smile and move your body, maybe there's laughter there. Play. Oh, hello, play. And we're going to start to say hello to play with your body. And this might be a super unfamiliar process if you haven't done a lot of embodiment work. If you haven't done embodiment work before, if you're here live or if you're tuning in later on to this recording. So whatever you notice is so welcome. Yeah, and you can just try it on like, oh, what would play do if play was going to just be here and take up some space in my physiology? How does my body want to express playfulness? And you can try on some different things, like just to try them on like a pair of shoes and see if they feel playful to you, and take them off if you don't. You could try some like chicken arms. You could try pulling a silly bass, like my body naturally wanted to make a noise then, so you can try making some silly noises like and noticing just how does your body want to do a bit of play. Maybe you want to like shake a little bit. Oh, of welcoming play and silliness, playfulness. Maybe you want to like imagine creeping along, being playful. Because remember, no one can see you. You can just see me. Letting yourself explore the room, looking around. What's the ceiling like? What about the floor? And maybe your play looks totally different. Maybe you're shaking and making a weird sound. And I really invite you, really invite you to do something with your body right now. If it's been tempting to sort of sit still and be like, I don't know what play would do, like just shake your right leg, start doing something, move your physiology, because movement through your skeleton, movement through your body will create some spaciousness and some opening for you to just try this on. We're playing. No one can see you. No one's judging you. And noticing whatever is coming up for you right now, because this is such beautiful and perfect and important reflections. Whatever you're noticing right now. Maybe this is really easy. Maybe it's like, oh, I can totally do this. I feel like super playful. I want these scissors. Like, oh, I'm going to cut my hair off. Or like, maybe not. That could just be me. That like my scissors were there. I was like, oh, how do these want to play with me? Maybe there's an item on your desk that you're like, and stick it in my nose, and that you want to get curious about something in your environment that looks and feels playful. There's a plant here. You could lick a plant. How does playfulness want to occur for you? And trying something, letting yourself just lean into, even if it's little, even if it's like, just going to stick my tongue out. What's that like? Make a strange noise. And I naturally want to laugh. Like I can't do that and not want to laugh at myself. Like it's just ridiculous, because there's no point. I'm just making a silly face and a weird noise. And I'm letting the idea of playfulness show up, and I'm getting curious about my environment. I'm noticing what's happening inside me, and I'm just having a go of whatever's there. And I can feel, for like the invitation to check in and notice what's coming up for you. I can feel that there is some sensations of like, oh, I'm the only one pulling these faces. I wonder what people who watch the recording later will think about that. So I'm totally human as well. Like this is all of us that carry that conditioning of like, oh, don't do that. That's a bit much, isn't it? So just noticing whatever is coming up for you as you say yes to this playfulness in yourself. And as you let it move and breathe and sound you in the space around you. Kids are really good at this. Kids are really good at just playing and being totally unperturbed about what's going on in the world around them. They couldn't give a shit. They're like, I'm having fun. Don't care what you think, more often than not. So just one more big breath of play and finishing whatever little playful experience you might have been in that moment. And I really understand that play is something that can really feed off of other people. Yeah, it can be something that is sort of hard to sustain a little bit by yourself. Yeah, because it's something that is created and experienced often between friends, between people who are like, you're having a laugh with people and you bouncing off each other and the laughter gets bigger and bigger. So I acknowledge that this is sort of like an experiment about connecting to the idea of, or the energy and feeling and essence of play, as opposed to, so it might feel different to if you're being super playful and having fun with your friends. So just noticing what came up for you there, noticing what that was like. And in a moment, I'm going to give you the invitation. We're going to be playful some more. And that you can take your camera off or on, switch your camera on so people can see you and so you can see people. And you're also welcome to unmute yourself if there are playful sounds that you're enjoying making. Now, there is no pressure to do that. Nobody is required. But the invitation is there if you want to explore what it is like to let yourself be witnessed and to witness in the act of play. And I invite you to lean into that unless it feels like a really big no, in which case, of course, I respect that. So, hi, Susan. Thanks for coming to play with me. So I'm going to invite you all to just feel yourself again and just noticing. It might feel different immediately as soon as you can see other people seeing you, and that's okay. But just feeling yourself again and closing your eyes for a moment and remembering the sensation of play and playfulness, even if it was super gentle, that you were connected to a couple of minutes ago before the cameras came back on. And I just want you to reconnect with that feeling of playfulness. Keep your eyes closed for the moment if you want to. And just staying with yourself with your eyes closed until you feel that sensation. You can try moving your body and be like, oh, where was that playfulness? Where's it gone? Oh, there it is. It's sort of like makes me want to do silly arms when I find playfulness again. And just saying yes to playfulness for yourself. And as and when you are ready, you can flutter your eyelids open and see yourself. See yourself being seen. Yes.
Right.
What's it like?
Nice.
Pull some faces.
And see.
And just noticing what it's like. Is this harder when there are people seeing me? Do I naturally want to go into performance? Do I naturally want to be like, oh, how do I play right? How's she playing? Oh, she looks fun. Like, I'll give that one a go. What is the narrative that rises? Or can you keep feeling yourself? Can you feel your center? Feel your own sense of play? Because that's like it's all perfect, right? So let's see if we can just do 30 seconds more of like letting yourself breathe and move and sound your expression of play. And that just might be like just letting yourself be curious. But yeah. And now just when you're ready, returning to some stillness and just taking in the faces of these other women and feeling yourself. Letting yourself feel what it's like to inhabit playfulness and be seen, and to see these other women who are also perfectly imperfect humans, who, I include myself in this, and this is not a criticism, but just a fact that we're all sort of beautiful and wonderful, yes, but we're all sort of like fucked up losers a little bit as well, right? You know, if I can be blunt about it, that like we are all of it, we hold it all, and every one of these women that you're seeing in front of you are that. Yeah, so just like letting yourself take in the faces of these other creatures. I am from the island of misfit toys. Yeah. Thank you, Jody. Beautiful.
That may not be meaningful to people. There was a theme in a Rudolph cartoon when I was like 6, with an elf that didn't want to make toys. He wanted to be a dentist, and he went and he found the island of misfit toys. And forever after, that has been the place of my home.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I found it. I found that there's my home, right? And you know, we all have the full spectrum of like weird, wonderful, strange, gorgeous, anything in between within us, and yet can spend so much time not allowing and creating internal permission for the full spectrum of that to take place, because we are worried about what others will think. We are worried about how we will be interpreted or seen, or the impact of us allowing ourselves to be all of those things that we are. And then when we go near doing some version of being uncollected, or like less than what your identity has chosen is the perfect standard, which is different for all of us, that we get very serious. And we want to protect ourselves from that feeling of going near that edge, whatever that precipice is for you. And it'll be unique for each of you, but I'm sure you know what I'm pointing to. Yeah. So the final piece that I want to weave in here as we sort of start to draw to a close is that a tone of experience that I'd like to invite you all into welcoming into your lives, or a frequency, you could say, is the tone of forgiveness. As female-bodied creatures, the path of reclaiming our feminine and the path of feminine awakening is often one of learning to soften, to become more like flexible and pliable and permeable, penetrable. We talked about receptivity and penetrability last week, and it's a really important one. It's about softness. And one of the things that is absolutely required for you to cultivate a system that is soft and relaxed and open is forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself again and again and again and again, because you are imperfect. You are a perfectly imperfect. And the thing that will actually protect you isn't quite the right word, but the thing that will save you from shame and the need to armor yourself with humor or facades of any other flavor is the ability to forgive yourself again and again and again and again and again and again. And it is a practice, because the hills that we choose to die on as women And what I mean by that is like the thing that I'm determined that like people won't ever see me as imperfect. People won't ever see that I have flaws. So I'm going to be this like presented version of myself all the time. I'm going to ensure that people see a version of me that I find really acceptable. I won't let myself be XYZ, whatever it is for you. The hill that you have chosen to die on, the parts of yourself that you have decided need to be hidden from the world at all costs, is a disastrous trap for your ability to be soft and open to life and to roll with the punches of the inevitability of your fuck ups as a human. Yeah, there is a tremendous grace and permission and love for yourself that comes when you can forgive yourself for all of those things again and again and again. So, as part of learning to not take yourself so seriously, I want to offer forgiveness as like, how can I forgive myself today? How can I forgive myself in this moment a little bit more? And next time I don't uphold a boundary that I know that I should have and I'm disappointed with myself, or next time I do something that I think was stupid, how can I forgive myself? How can I let myself off the hook and create more softness in my system, more space for life to move through, more space for love to get in from myself, from others, from the world. So,
gosh, those seem to be two, like I get you just said, announced those as two sides of the same coin, but they feel very different. Like you just snuck in that allow more love to get in. And I was like, whoa, hang on. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, great. I love
Which
that.
I think is personally telling.
Yes, yeah, beautiful. So do you mean like love getting in compared to just being soft and open is two different things?
Oh, no, it's the personal forgiveness.
Sure.
There's a very high bar for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've made concessions for myself in times of crisis. It's okay, you can accept all of these things, etc. But then there's like
Sure.
there's an elasticity to it. But the let more love get in feels, and I like not in this conversation, but in my internal programming, as a very separate and disconnected issue.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm voicing that because that I might not be the only person for whom that's true.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for naming it. I really appreciate that. And this is such a journey of learning and exploration. It's like we touch these places inside of ourselves, and we're here in this journey of going like, oh, playfulness and not taking myself so seriously. That sounds great. What does that mean? And trying this like, essence of play on and letting myself be seen, and all of these adventures. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Susan. Lots of love to you. Ciao. And then sometimes we'll touch a place that's like, oh, but not that, or but that's different. And it's such a gorgeous moment to just see yourself. Yeah. And there's absolutely no right or wrong. In my way of seeing the world, or in my thinking, that one of the reasons we want a body, a system, a psyche, a perspective that is soft and pliable and like available for life to move through it, is to experience like love and connection and joy. And so that is why I name that.
And it seems pretty basic when you put it like that, but my brain had never connected them. Because forgiveness is something that I have to ration to myself. only for special occasions as a treat.
I wonder what would happen if you had like a fire hose of forgiveness available to you. A thing to explore. So, beautiful ladies who are here and who are tuning in, thank you so much for coming along to explore, not taking yourself so seriously, exploring play and playfulness. It was a real delight to pull faces at you all and see you all letting yourself be playful as well. It's really beautiful. I will look forward to sending the replay out to all of you. And I will also on Friday inside of our Facebook group be doing an interview with a wonderful past client of mine, Catherine, who is a woman with a big life. She is a lawyer and a retail business owner and runs a horse property, and she is in a bunch of different places at the same time, it seems, and has had a real journey with learning to not take herself so seriously and create more spaciousness in her life. So I'm going to be having a chat with her on Friday morning at 10 a.m. if you'd like to come along. I'd love to see some of you there. Otherwise, of course, watch the replay of that. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're always amazing, and you're amazing more and more with every session.
Ooh. Thank you very much. That's gorgeous. I really appreciate it.
But that's true. That's true.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Nance and Jody and Susan,
Jody,
who was here this evening. And thank you to everyone tuning in to the recording later on. I'll see you guys soon.
Bye. Bye, 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 bye.